Well, hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our next turbine test video. We actually have a pair of XICOY 180s in this box, which is for a project, but we are going to do some test runs, our normal evaluation of these turbines, brand new to the market. So stay tuned, we'll open this box up and check these things out. We have, as I mentioned, a pair of XICOY 180s for the A10. So if you are a fan of the channel, you will soon see an A10 video coming up, and I won't explain much of it in this video, but that's what these turbines are for. So we have a Skymaster A10, which is going to be outfitted with these guys. All right, so a pair of XICOY 180s, very, very cool turbines. Really excited to get these things unboxed and test run them and really check these things out. So this is actually featured in the latest edition of Jet magazine, Jet International magazine, and so fitting time-wise for us to be able to test one of these. Now, before we actually open this box up, before we put it on the test stand, all that kind of stuff, I need you guys to remember that when we test engines here at the lighter side of RC, we are 3,300 feet above sea level. At that elevation, with normal temperature today is about 22 degrees, you're going to lose about 15%, even 20% of thrust. So when we see those max thrust numbers, please keep that in mind, because everybody always comments during these videos that there's not enough thrust, but keep that in mind. Awesome engine, really excited to get one of these out of the package and take a look at them. So let's dive into this package and see what's inside. Okay, so we're going to be doing our normal tests on these engines. We're going to be weighing everything. We're going to be doing some test runs on the stands, and really excited to do this. So actually, you know what? The first thing as I take a look at this engine, I was actually expecting it to be smaller, and I don't mean that in a bad way. All the XICOY engines are pretty tiny, and this is a little bit sizable, more sizable than I was expecting, but really nice finished engine. We've got a couple special serial numbers here, and these are for Mr. David, Jet Guy number 1, and this should be turbine number 2. Okay, so initially, this is what the box looks like when you open it up. Let's pull these parts out individually and take a look at them, and then we will get into the weighing portion. So we've got our telemetry adapter. We've got our bag of cables and fuel lines. The manual's right there. I'm not going to take the manual out. I guess I will. So the XICOY manuals, they come on the little cards. And what do we got here? Fuel filter. And I'm going to pull that off. And then we've got our fuel pump. Now this is a little bit bigger size compared to the smaller engines like the X45, but still very tiny fuel pump. And then we've got the screen slash data relay module slash ECU. And then we pull the next layer of bubbles out, and then we've got the engine. All right, so we will open these guys up now and take a closer look at them. So they come in a nice sealed package. And there she is. So nice small exhaust cone. You can see that they've been test run at the factory there by the fuel residue. And just your standard, typical, simple turbine. I'm going to yank this off the end, the FOD screen. And taking a look at the intake there. There's a shot of the intake. Yeah, overall nice turbine, typical XICOY quality, aluminum starter housing, which is really nice, single fuel input, single bus, I think it's the XT30s or whatever it's called, the three-prong little yellow connectors, and nice and simple. So yeah, it looks good. Nice turbine. Let's get to weighing all these components and parts. Okay, so we have our readout right there of our grams. So just our turbine by itself comes in at 1,491 grams. And we'll weigh all these other parts individually. The little data screen, we are at 23 grams. We've got our fuel pump, which is 61 grams. We'll leave off the telemetry sensor because that's an optional item. We've got our cable and tubing bundle, which is 65 grams. Now, obviously the tubing, you may not use all of the tubing, but we'll just measure that as a bundle. And then we've got the FOD screen, which was not on the turbine when we weighed it. So we'll weigh that separately. And we've got 41 grams for the FOD screen. So if we add all these numbers up, 1491 plus 23 plus 61 plus 65 plus 41, that gives us 1,681 grams. And for the Imperial Folk, divided by 454, so 3.70 pounds for that. Now, I am a SWEWIN dealer, so I try and do these tests as unbiased as possible because ultimately, guys, I'm a modeler just like you, and I like to use good equipment. So I just want to show you here some of the differences between a SWEWIN 190 and the XICOY 180, just because I know people are going to ask this, and it's a decision you have to make and decide what's better for you. Okay, so here's the overall size difference. Now our diameter is very, very similar. Just looking at it, very similar. Obviously, if we line up the starters right there, okay, so we're pretty much in line. There's the difference in overall length. So the XICOY engine is a little bit smaller, and keep in mind the SWEWIN, this is a brand new 190 I just pulled out of the package from my stock. These are smaller than most other companies as well too, as far as length goes, okay? So the core of the 180 engine, we got 1,491 grams right there. Okay, and the SWEWIN engine here, just so we have something to compare it to, is 1,610 grams, we'll call it. So the SWEWIN is 1,610. Now, most of the components themselves are going to be very similar, so we'll just show you the weight difference here. 1,610 minus 1,491. So you're looking at 120 gram difference on the engines. So 120 divided by 454. So you're talking about a quarter pound. So a quarter pound difference. So the XICOY 180s, quarter pound lighter than the SWEWIN 190s. Yes, there's slightly less output on the XICOY 180s, but the reason I'm showing you this stuff, guys, is just so you have a comparison. That is it. Both amazing engines. Love both of them. I like this one more because I sell them, but from all the XICOY stuff I've seen, very happy with these things. All right, guys, so next step with these engines is to get them mounted on the test stand, and we'll go through the whole gamut of test running these engines. So as I go through the different stages of testing, I'll put the writing on the screen so you know what's going on and you have an idea of what we're looking at. All right, guys, so here's the test stand. We've got our power or thrust meter here, which is measured in pounds. So we've hooked up the data relay module, pretty simple connections. They're all clearly marked here, engine, power cable, and throttle input there as well. So simple to plug in. Now, one of the things I'm not a huge fan of is this short cable going in between the data relay module and the turbine. We can obviously add on to that. We did that in the F14 with the Jets Munts engines as well too. It's a pretty common thing that manufacturers seem to be doing, but it's a pretty easy workaround. So other nice thing with the pump connection here is you've got a 4mm output and a 6mm input for the Festo, which is nice to see, already set up on the pump, so that part's done. We've got our fuel tank here, and we've got our 1 liter max thrust fuel usage tank right there. So what I need to do now is I need to get all the air bubbles out of the system, and I'm going to run the fuel pump for a little bit. I do this with every engine setup, whether it's a test engine or a Swewin engine or anything like that. All the navigation in the screen is all your standard XICOY navigation. So all pretty simple to navigate. So we're going to go through our tests right now. Test the starter. Test the glow plug. You can hear the glow plug. Prime the pump. So right now I've got the pump run back into the vent line there, so we're on a closed loop. I'm going to open up this guy, which is our feed to our pump from this tank. All of our other lines are open, and now when we prime the pump is working. So we'll run the pump for a little while, get all the air bubbles out of that system and out of the test system. Okay, so we've got that system working, pumps running, and we've got all the air bubbles out. I like to run these pumps just to make sure that we aren't going to run into any issues and they are working well. So that pump's doing its thing, running at a low power. And now what I can do is I can open up this system, close that system, and now we're feeding fuel from that tank into the main tank just to get the bubbles out, which they are. And now we'll turn that off. And that's that menu. We've already gone through the info menu. We've programmed it to the radio. We'll go through the run menu. So normal run parameters, full power 181 newtons. This is easy to change. You've just got different settings there. You can see how much 1000 RPM at full power makes a big difference in power. You drop down 2000 RPM and you've lost almost 10 newtons of power. So it's pretty significant. And this is the pounds readout right there as well. So says 181 newtons, 41.1 pounds. We'll probably, if I had to make a guess on right now, we're probably going to see this at 35 to 36 with our elevation. Idle speed 32,000. Ambient Excel Auto, we'll leave it there. Decel Auto, and we are ready to run the XICOY 180. So the way this is going to go is we are going to start the engine. Assuming it starts well, what we're going to do is we're going to slowly advance the throttle and do that. And then we'll go through just kind of a myriad of other tests and check things out. And I did forget about the other radio settings. So when you go into the radio menu, you've got other settings here as well too. I'll take you back through there. So radio, adjust, we're going to hit the no button. Okay, then you've got your thrust curve, normal, full expo, half expo, or linear. I like half expo, so we're going to put it on half expo. And restart mode, we're going to turn that on auto because we want to test the restart of this turbine. So now we're ready to go. So that also means we will be testing the restart function on this engine. So once we get it running, we will check the acceleration rate on the engine. And then what we're going to do is we are going to try the restart. We'll try the restart function. And then we'll do the full throttle test for the fuel consumption to see how long it takes to go through 1 liter of fuel, which is our little tank right there, measured perfectly at 1 liter or 1,000 milliliters. Okay, so now we are ready to test this engine. Let's give her a go. So we've got a few air bubbles in there, but she worked her way through it, and we are good to start. All right, guys, well, that is the test. So hopefully we, just talking to you as we're cooling down here, pretty good numbers from that engine. And I have to look back on some of the Sweetwin engines, but pretty good numbers for an engine this size. Burns 1 liter of fuel in 1 minute and 46 seconds. I'll figure out the math and post all the statistics below for you, how much fuel it uses per minute at full throttle. So impressive little engine for sure. I'm just going to get the stuff all kind of packed up and everything, and we'll talk about some closing remarks. All right, I figured I'd take it one step further for you here and hook up the telemetry module. So all I did was plug the telemetry module into the data port on the data relay module. That plugs into your EXT port. In this case, I'm using my Shop Rex 3 receiver, and we've got a battery hooked up, and we've got our throttle cable hooked up to the unit here. So when you go to, I've already set up the telemetry now on my radio, and you basically have all of your turbine telemetry that I've displayed here on the screen. There's still a couple more things I could add, but I just wanted to put the basics on there. Okay, so that is basically there. And now if we go into the data relay module and go into the run menu, now you've got more options on the run menu that weren't there before. Okay, now these are because the telemetry module is now plugged in. So your fuel capacity is right here on the unit, and all you need to do is adjust the fuel capacity. So in this case, the tanks on the A10 that this engine is going in is about 4 liters. Aircraft's over there, it's a Skymaster A10. So we increase that to 4 liters. Fuel calibration, don't need to touch. That's it. That's the only thing you need to adjust now with that new telemetry unit for the XICOY. So pretty cool setup. And it gives you your turbine fuel percentage left there, which is pretty slick. So just wanted to show you guys that stuff just so you have an idea how these modules have changed and also how to set them up. All right, guys, so a few closing remarks here. Now, I talked with the owner, David, and these 180 engines actually use a 3-cell LiPo battery. So that's why we were having issues with the battery system. The 120s and below, which is what this manual is for, they run on a 2S LiPo. So that's why we were having problems with the engine on the 2-cell LiPo. No issues with it, so don't worry about that. Make sure you're using a 3-cell LiPo. Now, fuel capacity on this engine is right in line with where it should be. So on a Sweetwin 170, it's using 500 milliliters per minute. This particular engine, as you just saw in the test, in 1 liter, it used 1 liter in 1.75 minutes, or 571 milliliters per minute for this engine. So very, very comparable with other engines that I've tested similar to this engine. So now this is the compact version. So the little data relay module is also the display screen. If you get the light version of this engine, it doesn't have that little screen built in. You would have a plug-in that you would plug in on your GSU screen. So keep that in mind too. There are 2 different options for this engine as far as how you can get it configured. All right, guys, all in all, that's a pretty cool engine. Very impressed with these little guys. They are nice 180 Newton engines. I've been very impressed with all of the XICOY products that I've tested so far. In my previous videos, the X45, which I tested about a year ago, that video is done very well, and it was a really nice little engine to test. Turboprop was awesome too. I'll put the links to those videos in the description below, and now we've got one more to add to the test. So thank you, XICOY, for getting me one of these engines, 2 of them actually, and thank you for David for supplying those engines for the A10 build as well too. So I appreciate the opportunity to do the test run on this engine, and pretty cool stuff. nice to be able to do that. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to list them down below in this video. If you really want an answer and make sure I get the question that you have, shoot me an email, thelightersideofrc@gmail.com. That way you know I'll see your question and you'll probably are more likely to get an answer back because sometimes the comment section on YouTube is not so good. So thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below if you're not a subscriber. And also, final remarks here. I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to all the channel supporters, all of you guys that as your names scroll across the screen here. Thank you for all your support. It goes a long way to making sure that we've got nice equipment and everything in the shop, and we are working towards our standalone building, which is what those funds are going towards. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. It's been a real fun 2.5 years doing this. I love it. It's awesome. And we'll see ya in the next video.